There are a lot of Star Wars characters in the franchise, like a lot, and I mean a lot. But a few have been forgotten about and haven't really have any stories being told about them, and it's kind of a wasted opportunity. And so I decided to choose 3 characters to basically explain why and how they are mistreated and how possible stories can be told with them. And the last one you're probably not going to expect because we're going to throw a curveball at you, but the last one's pretty good. But we're going to start out with Jar Jar here. The first one I'm choosing is Jar Jar, and he's kind of obvious for me, and I feel like for a lot of people, because he is a character who mainly is just a comic relief character in the prequel trilogy and the Clone Wars show, and isn't really explored upon. I mean, his species is present in the Clone Wars show, and also in the prequel trilogy and the Phantom Menace, but for him specifically, his character goes away in Attack of the Clones from there on out, which I understand why, but we never see him again after the Empire formed. All we really have is some quote or like some passage in a book. That's after Return of the Jedi, and that's basically it for him after the prequels. And it's like, what the hell happened to him? What did he do? I remember when the Obi-Wan Kenobi show was coming out, people were speculating that Jar Jar was going to appear in that show to have a one-on-one with Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's like, well, what's Jar Jar doing? Is he like sad about what happened because he inadvertently created the Empire? So I mean, he gave emergency power to Palpatine Attack of the Clones. So it's like, how does he feel about that when the Empire formed? And I don't want some comic book explaining it. I want an actual live action or animated version of him again to actually explore his character, actually for the majority of people to actually see what the hell's going on. And that goes for all the 3 options I'm picking. I don't want to see them in a comic book because no one reads those. Only the die-hard fans read those. And I want them to be shown on screen or in a video game. And with Jar Jar, I want to see that during the Empire. What did he do? Where was he? What did he do? What's his feelings? Because I wouldn't assume that he would be his happy, jolly old self. I was expecting to be depressed and sad and kind of have guilt that he created the Empire inadvertently. So, I mean, that would be a cool story to show him have some guilt, and maybe by the end of the story he lets go of that and realizes that it wasn't his fault. He was just a piece in a puzzle. That'd be a cool story to tell, but only time will tell. Number 2, we have Maz Kanata. Yeah, her. Remember her? Her big appearance was only in The Force Awakens, and after that, she just diminished in The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. I mean, I don't even think she even had any, like, full-on conversations in The Rise of Skywalker. She just had, like, 2 lines. 2, maybe 3 lines. And it's like, her introduction to Force Awakens was cool, because this is this character who has been around the block in the galaxy. She's this mysterious character who, I don't know if this is a fact anymore, but she's like 1,000 years old. I could be wrong on that. Maz Kanata is this interesting character who could be seen in other pieces of media. I mean, besides the sequel trilogy, she was in the Battlefront 2 campaign, and that was it. What else is there? Well, I remember when I played Jedi Fallen Order, it was mentioned that her castle was built and functioning during time period, which is 5 years after Revenge of the Sith. So a possible story could be maybe showing her during the Clone Wars, or other characters meeting her at her castle at different points in the Star Wars timeline. I mean, she's around during The Mandalorian. That's airing its 3rd season soon, so she could appear. A possibility. Any Mandalorian verse stuff taking place in between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, she could appear. And I'm expecting her to appear in a semi-decent big role. I'm assuming that because she sounds to be interesting and knows a bunch of stuff about the Force or whatever. Was she a Jedi? Was she a Jedi who left Order, like when she left during Order 66? Did she leave on her own terms? Like that's a possible story. You know, like, there's so many stories you could tell in the Star Wars timeline with her, yet she's just not doing anything. So my final pick here, and you're not gonna expect this, is the character called Guardian. Let's just say that, Guardian. Now, looking at the picture I'm probably showing up, you're probably like, oh, that dude from A New Hope, why is he so important? Well, it's not really his character, but more the species that is called the Kubas. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. I do believe that there was a canon story about him in a book a couple years ago, which is nice to see, but we don't really get to see his species really in the universe. And I kind of wonder, where are they? Because they're not like they're an original character in the universe. It's not like the E.T. alien in the Phantom Menace that can't never be shown again. This is different. This species, from my knowledge, I could be wrong on this, only shows up on screen in one film, which is A New Hope, in like one, maybe two scenes. Where is he? What is he doing? Or, in better terms, this entire species. I'm not looking at that character anymore. I'm looking at the entire species now, because you never see that type of alien ever again. At least to my knowledge, at least I could be wrong on that. Which, if that's the case, where did that species show up again? Because I don't think he showed up in the original trilogy. I don't think he showed up in the prequels. Definitely not the sequels. Any spin-off film, any of the animated shows, other shows, like, what the hell happened? You would think that in The Mandalorian or any of those type of shows, that alien species would show up again, or a similar design, but nope. That long-snouted, plague doctor-looking alien thing doesn't show up again. And I question why, because that would be a cool story to have a certain character, or whatever character, just show up to their planet. Is their planet uninhabitable to people who breathe oxygen, or do they breathe a different substance? Like, what is their species, what is their biology, what planet are they on? You know, what was it like? In canon, non-legends, probably a legend story out there. I'm talking about canon. What's a canon story? What is a canon tale you can tell? Whatever type of story, short form, long form, a section, a video game, part of a film, whatever. I want to see that. Because I think it's a wasted opportunity to have this alien that has a cool design just be wasted and never really been seen again. Now, those are just 3 characters out of many that I could have picked that could have been part of this video, but I chose 3 because those are the 3 that I'm most passionate about, that I want to see more stories about. And this idea actually came from my friend Late Films. He gave me this idea, and I was like, yeah, it's actually cool. I was kind of thinking about doing this, but in a different way, but it's whatever. I like the outcome of this. So those are 3 characters. Are there any more that you picked that maybe should have a story be told about them, or maybe further explore their character in a different part of the timeline? Because there are quite a bit of characters that you could pick from. So I'm gonna go now. If you guys enjoyed, hit that like button and subscribe. I'm going, so goodbye everyone.